Hey guys, welcome to a new episode of AB in the Films. Well, we went through the unenjoyable, and now here's the enjoyable of 2014. Muppets Most Wanted. I have always been a big fan of the Muppets as a kid. Not a huge fan, but whenever I saw like The Christmas Carol, Muppet Treasure Island, I saw those movies as a kid. And I even did see Muppets from Space as a kid, and I know some people don't like that one. I particularly like that one. And then the Muppet movies just didn't come around anymore. They just died out. The 2011 reboot of the Muppets, I didn't see. I wanted to see, I never did. I just never got a chance to see it. And then this movie comes out. And I took a look at the trailers, and I'm like, you know what? I might want to go check this out. And I did, and I saw it. And I really actually liked it, but what I love about this movie is that it reminded me of how much I did like, I do like the Muppets. I did grow up with the Muppets, but I mean, like, the story is nothing new. I've heard this story before. Like, Kermit gets framed by this look-alike frog, and Kermit gets locked up in the gulag, which I think is new. I don't think that's ever happened before. The songs are actually surprisingly catchy. I mean, some of these songs I do like. I bought the soundtrack. It's right behind me up with all those CDs you see behind me. Tina Fey is actually pretty funny in this. Ty Burrell is good. Ricky Gervais as Constantine, as Constantine's sidekick. Constantine is the frog that frames Kermit. Yeah, it just reminded me of how much I really enjoyed the Muppets. Like, Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, Rizzo. I don't think Rizzo's even in this. I think he has a cameo in this, and that's it. Rolf, Animal, Sam the Eagle, like, Scooter, all the characters in the Muppet, even Beaker and the Professor, Professor Honeydew. I mean, I just love these characters. The opening song, We're Doing a Sequel. Love that song. That song pokes fun at every sequel ever made in the last 10 to 20 years. This is good family entertainment. This is for kids and for adults. The jokes, some of the jokes do fall flat, but a lot of times it's a very enjoyable movie, and I had a lot of fun at the movies. I mean, this was and this was in March, so there wasn't a lot of good movies coming out at the time, but that was the first time in 2014 where I had fun. I had a fun movie experience. So Muppets Most Wanted, that definitely deserves to go on this list. Next one. Big Eyes. Okay, before I talk about this movie, you might notice I changed the lighting a little bit. I had to get a new lamp behind me because the lighting wasn't working out. But, okay, on to Big Eyes. Like I said, I just reviewed this movie a couple months ago. This is the best Tim Burton movie I've seen in quite some time, actually, because the last few movies he's made, I haven't... Like I said, I wasn't a fan of Alice in Wonderland, wasn't a fan of Dark Shadows, Frankenweenie I didn't see. Like, a lot of his stuff I didn't really like or never saw. This movie, a lot of fun. Christoph Waltz and Amy Adams are great in this. Christoph Waltz, nothing new I haven't seen him do before in any of his other films, aside from the Tarantino work. Amy Adams is great in this. Danny Elfman's score, I mean, Danny Elfman's good in almost everything he does with his music. Even in 50 Shades of Grey, if you can believe that, because he did the music score for that piece of shit. Okay, I'm not here to discuss that movie. Love this movie from beginning to end. To me, like I've said in the review for Big Eyes, this is a movie about art. This is about protecting your art, and this is about saying that whatever you find, basically the moral is this: whatever you find artistic, it's interesting to share that with other people to get an insight at what they might find artistic. Like, for example, I'm doing this show. I think doing this show is artistic because I'm telling you how I see movies and what movies I like, and you guys could probably identify with that or Probably not. Like, maybe I'll talk about a movie that you've never even heard of or never saw, and you might say to yourself, oh, the way you're talking about it, I might like this, or vice versa. And it's the same thing with a movie like this. This is a movie about art and people who love art. It's as simple as that. And that's why Tim Burton was perfect for this project, because Tim Burton, I mean, look at his movies. I mean, he's a visionary, that guy. But Big Eyes, this is a great movie. I had a lot of fun watching this. Yeah, I highly recommend that. That's why it's on this list. Next one. The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. Okay, I did see The Desolation of Smaug in theaters, but when I heard The Battle of the Five Armies was coming out, at our movie theater, before a couple of days in advance, we were going to show all 3 Hobbit movies back to back, and I hadn't seen An Unexpected Journey, and I heard from a lot of people that it's the prologue, it's boring. If you want a better prologue, watch The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. But I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to watch all 3 movies in one day at a theater. I've never done that before. And I did, and man, my ass hurted after a while, because I was sitting in that seat from like 12 o'clock in the afternoon until about 10 p.m. watching all those movies back to back. But Battle of the Five Armies. It's basically the shortened version of Return of the King. I mean, if you've seen Lord of the Rings, like, I had to keep reminding myself that this is not Lord of the Rings. But the film kept deluding me that it was, and it's not. It's not Lord of the Rings, let's be honest. But it's the prequel to the Lord of the Rings, the way it's filmed, at least. I thought this was a good ending to the Hobbit series, because it's not the end of the Middle-earth saga. Like, one of the things I loved was that the poster kept saying the defining chapter. And maybe in the Hobbit series, yes, but not in the Middle-earth, like, series. I mean, let's... Return of the King, that's the greatest one ever. That's the best. The battle scenes in this movie, this battle was, like, over really quick. I mean, it felt like that. Like, at least Return of the King... Like, if you want to watch a better battle movie, watch Return of the King. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about... See, it's still deluding me, even as I talk about it, that it's Lord of the Rings. But it's not. Battle of the Five Armies. I liked this movie. I did. I will say one thing, though. This really did kind of piss me off. And this goes for all the Hobbit movies. Why is it that in the Lord of the... Okay, in the Lord of the Rings... Some of the orcs and the trolls and all those people, some of those were actually portrayed by actual actors in makeup. And it looked amazing. How come in the Hobbit movies, half of them are CG'd? Or at least all of them are CG? I don't get it. Why are they CG'd? Like, they looked so much better in The Lord of the Rings. And The Hobbit's supposed to be a prequel. Like, it kind of doesn't add up, if you think about it. But, okay, I sound like I'm giving this a negative review, but I did like it. For what it was, I liked it. I liked the battle. I did get into the whole battle, and all the things that they have to do in this movie. And the way it ended, I mean, for everyone that has seen this movie, it ends with the way Fellowship begins. And, so that thing I did like. Battle of the Five Armies is a pretty good movie. I wouldn't want to watch it again. Once was enough. I like Lord of the Rings a little bit better. But for what The Hobbit was, I did like it. And I did like Battle of the Five Armies. So, that's all I'm going to say about this before I start repeating myself. I already haven't done that enough. Next one. Horrible Bosses 2. I liked this movie. I said 3 years ago in my top 20 favorite films list that Horrible Bosses is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, I know. For those of you who don't like this, don't like Horrible Bosses, I thought it was a really funny comedy. And in the second one, okay, I like that they're trying not to do the same thing as they did in the first one. This movie would have been a lot better if Jennifer Aniston and Kevin Spacey were not in this. It would have been better if they weren't in this, because they just exploit Jennifer Aniston's character from the first movie to the madness in this one. There are some positive things, though. Christoph Waltz I thought that the majority of comedy would come from him, because he looked like the big bad boss from the trailers. No, it comes from Chris Pine. He is having so much fun in this role, and it's hilarious. I have never seen Chris Pine in a movie, because I like Chris Pine is like somewhere in the middle for me. I don't love him, I don't hate him. I loved him in this as the villain. He took this character and ran off with it, and it's hilarious. And the way he works off Jason Bateman, Jason Sudeikis, and Charlie Day, it is the best. And you constantly wonder how the three of them are gonna get out of this or work around this guy, because they're trying to pull off a kidnapping, and he's like, I want to partner up on this thing, and they're like, no, it's off, no, it's on. And it's pretty much explained in the trailers. We got a fight clubber here. I did like this. Do I think it's funnier than the second one, or just as funny as... No, I'm sorry. Scratch that. Do I think it's as funny as the first one? Of course not. No. The first one is the best. That's usually the case whenever a sequel comes along. But for what it was, this movie, it did have me laughing a lot in the theater, and I thought it was pretty good. And the bloopers are at the end of this movie, but they were at the end of the first one too. Can I just say for the record, I hate it. I absolutely hate it when a comedy shows bloopers at the end of a movie. That's like the lowest thing you can do. Save that for the DVD, man. Like what are you doing? But they were funny. That did make me laugh. But guys, can you just not do that anymore in comedies? Please don't. Gone Girl. Okay, I saw the TV ads for this movie. I didn't know who was directing it. Just the way the film looked, the way the color scheme was, and the way the text was, like the way it said Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike, I think her name is, the way the text looked, immediately it looked like The Social Network. And I said to myself, oh, this has to be a David Fincher movie. And it said David Fincher, and I was like, whoa, shit! Like, I didn't see that coming. That was a guess. But yeah, we have David Fincher's Gone Girl, based off the book. The interesting thing about this movie is that the reaction from this film is mixed. People either like this movie or they don't like it, and they don't like the ending. Okay? Like, a lot of people look at that ending and they're like, what the hell was that? Here's my reaction to it. A lot of this movie, the way it was structured out, now hear me out, kind of reminded me of Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Minus the porn. It just did. Because, now, that film, to me, Eyes Wide Shut, was all about what does it mean to be in love? What does it mean to be married to someone? What does that mean? Like, internally, what does it mean? This actually is kind of the same thing, only it's from the woman's side. Because let's face it, it's not about Ben Affleck, it's all about his wife. It's all about Amy, it's all about her. In Eyes Wide Shut, it was all about Tom Cruise and his inner psyche, about what that was all about. But it's kind of like a role reversal. And nobody wins in the end. Nobody wins. Nobody does. And I was thinking the entire time, the more we see Amy, as the movie unfolds itself, I'm thinking to myself, oh, they're not going to get away with this. They will slip up. They all slip up. They're going to slip up. But this movie, each twist and turn, every twist and turn you can imagine happens in this movie. Right when you think you're going to get somewhere, boom, left turn, right turn, left turn, right turn. I've never seen... This is one of those murder mysteries, kind of like a whodunit kind of film. And this is a movie in that category that I have never seen before. The way... I didn't read the book, but this is a movie, it's like... I mean, this is insane. I mean, this woman is batshit crazy. I thought Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction was crazy. This woman, this woman is psychotic, man. I mean, this is almost like a horror movie at times. Like, this woman, I wonder what this woman's thinking half the time. Like, it's incredible. Fincher, Seven, The Social Network, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I love this guy's work. I'm a huge Fincher fan. Ben Affleck, I don't like Ben Affleck, really. I feel he's trying in this. He's doing the best he can. Tyler Perry is in this. Never thought I would actually like Tyler Perry, because I've seen his work. I'm not a fan of his, but I actually kind of liked him in this. He was pretty good. Neil Patrick Harris was actually pretty good in this too. Rosamund Pike, I think she's nominated. She might be nominated, I think, at tonight's Oscars for this role. Wouldn't surprise me, because I've never seen a character like this before. Never in my life. And guys, I strongly recommend that you see this movie. This is not a date movie. It's not a date movie. I mean, it could be, but it's going to be really awkward if you watch this movie with your date. This is an effed up movie, and it's insanely crazy. But but as it unfolds, you kind of understand why these characters are doing this. I know it's weird to say that, but as it unfolds, if you really look at these characters, that's why I'm comparing it to Eyes Wide Shut, because it gets inside the mind of a character, particularly Amy instead of Ben Affleck. Okay, it gets more inside of her character than it does with the male. I mean, it does with Ben Affleck, but not as often as it does with Rosamund Pike. But that's why it's like Eyes Wide Shut, because I've never actually seen... Because that was one thing that Kubrick always knew how to do. He knew how to get inside the mind of a character in all of his movies. Fincher, he doesn't do that bad a job here. He doesn't do that bad of a job. He does a pretty decent job with this, the way he's directing. So I've gone on and on and about this movie. But Gone Girl, definitely on this list. Next one. The Lego Movie. It should have been nominated for Best Animated Feature. Why the hell not? Seriously, why the hell not? Like, it's one thing to snub DiCaprio over and over and over and over again at the Oscars. But why didn't this get Best Animated Feature? Why wasn't it at least nominated? Is it because it was released in February? Is that why? I mean, guys, this movie is Toy Story good. It's that good. And I wasn't expecting anything much from this movie when I went in to go see it. And I say this in the review, but it was the last 15 to 20 minutes that when I saw those last 20 minutes of the movie, I said to myself, this is going to win Best Animated Feature. I don't care what Disney is doing. I don't care what DreamWorks is doing, or Blue Sky, or anybody. This is winning Best Animated Feature, and it's not even nominated. Instead, the song is nominated. Everything is awesome! Everything... Like, okay, catchy song, I can see that getting nominated, but why? Why, Academy? Why are you not nominating the Lego Movie? Is it because it's like a marketing thing so you can sell more toys, so Lego can sell more toys if you nominate it? Is that why? Or did you just forget about it? Like, I'm not saying that any of the nominees that they have for Best Animated Feature tonight shouldn't be nominated. They should. Big Hero 6, that was great. How to Train Your Dragon 2 was pretty good. Whatever the hell else is nominated, I don't know. I think the Box Trolls is nominated or something. I don't know. But to snub the Lego Movie, like, this, you know what? I don't care what wins Best Animated Feature. This won Best Animated Feature in my book. It did. It's going to, because it's so... Guys, this is one of the greatest animated movies I've seen since, I think, Toy Story 3. Like, and you can say what you want about Toy Story 3, but this movie... Like, this was incredibly good. The jokes were funny. The CGI, because this is nothing new. I think every geek and nerd in America has made a stop-motion Lego movie. I did this back when I was 9, and it was terrible. I didn't know how to do stop-motion or anything. I used my hands to, like, do the animations and stuff with the Legos, with the little Lego people. But to have Hollywood do it and do an amazing job with it. And they end. Oh my God, that ending was just. Oh man, I can't believe this is not getting nominated. I can't believe it. Like that movie was so good. You know what? I've gone long enough about this movie. The Lego Movie. You know what? It might not have made the Academy's list, but it made my list, and it is the best animated feature of 2014. It is, bar none. Next movie. The Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 1. Okay, I've already gone on about this in the review, so I'll try to keep this short and sweet. This is the lead up to the big finale coming out in, what is it, 9 months from now, something like that? I think 9 months from now we're going to get Part 2, which I'm still hyped to see. Can't wait to see it. I've said all this before in the past, guys. The acting is top-notch. The writing is great. The choices that these characters are making to get into the Capitol. Philip Seymour Hoffman, God bless him, he can do no wrong, Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's so good in this. Julianne Moore, who I'm not a big fan of. I'm not crazy about Julianne Moore. I think she can act. I think she can act. And especially what she's up for tonight. She can act, definitely. Very good in this. Jennifer Lawrence, Josh Hutcherson, everybody. This, guys, it's the Hunger Games. I don't need to tell you how good it is. You know how good it is. Like, everyone has seen this, pretty much. And if you haven't, watch it. It's really entertaining. It's a very entertaining movie. It's like an updated version of World War II. At least in my opinion. Yeah, Mockingjay Part 1. It's on the list. Next film. American Sniper. Okay, guys, I know Oscar night is going on right now, but let's be honest. I have a good feeling Bradley Cooper is going to get Best Actor. I do, because it's the Academy. And the Academy usually goes with people who are portraying real life people or losing weight. And Bradley Cooper fits into both of these categories because not only did he gain weight for this role, but he's also portraying Chris Kyle. A soldier. This guy. I first of all, when this movie was coming out, I didn't know this was based on a real person. I didn't until I went in to go see the movie. I didn't realize this was based on a real person. I really didn't know what this movie was going to be about. I just saw the trailer, like, you know, that intense trailer when he's looking through the sniper and you hear the heartbeat pounding and it says American Sniper, Clint Eastwood movie. The end. That was the trailer. So I went into this movie not really knowing what it was going to be about. And when I saw it, guys, it really good. Really good movie. And it wouldn't surprise me if this wins Best Picture and Best Actor, because Bradley Cooper not only gained a lot of weight for this role, but he's portraying a real person. And usually those are the things that makes the Academy pick the nominee to be the winner. Because why do you think Matthew McConaughey got Best Actor for Dallas Buyers Club? You see what I mean? Now, that's not how I would see it. In my opinion, it would have been between Leo DiCaprio and Christian Bale for American Hustle and Leo for Wolf of Wall Street. Leo would have gotten it for Wolf of Wall Street. Hands down, Wolf of Wall Street Leo would have gotten it for that. But, you know, it's the Academy. And now, I'm not saying I don't want American Sniper to win and I don't want Bradley Cooper to win. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that don't be surprised if that happens later tonight. But let's get on to the movie. Clint Eastwood, he's proved it again. He makes great movies. He just does. This is a movie about the most lethal sniper in U.S. history. This guy has gotten more kills with a sniper more than anyone. And you know, it has to do with Chris Kyle, who is the guy Bradley Cooper portrays in the movie, about him going off to war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and you know, dealing with the dramas of PTSD. which is done really well in this movie. I mean, I've seen PTSD done in films before, not like this. I mean, this is something I like, and again, see, unlike Interstellar, they don't say anything, they don't explain it, they show it, and we get it. Okay, enough of that. First of all, I was at my movie theater, you know, cleaning up popcorn and sweeping up. I've never seen so many people going in to see American Sniper. We still have that movie playing, and it's February, and this came out Christmas Day, and it's still getting a ton of people. I think this movie, a lot of people are going to see this, and you know, that's not a bad thing. That is a good thing. People should see this movie. It's a very well-made movie. Yeah, I was blown away by this. I was blown away by Bradley Cooper's performance. I can say that. Because I didn't see Bradley Cooper. I saw Chris Kyle. I saw this character that he was playing. And, you know, he's based on, you know, this is based off the real person who wrote the biography about this. I think this movie's based off the biography that Chris Kyle himself wrote. And, yeah, American Sniper, really like that movie a lot. Next one. The Theory of Everything. I never heard of Eddie Redmayne. I never heard of him. I saw the poster for Jupiter Ascending and it said Eddie Redmayne, and I'm like, who the hell is that guy? Is he new? And, you know, I remember this movie coming out and not seeing it, because I never saw any trailers for this movie, never saw any TV spots for this movie. It was in my theater for like maybe 2 weeks, and then that was it. It was gone. And it came out, I think, in, September, October, around that time, which I didn't go to the movies a lot. Like I've said at the beginning of the unenjoyable video, I didn't go to the movies a lot this year. In fact, most of these movies I've just watched in the last month and a half or so. I saw Stephen Hawking. I didn't see an actor portraying Stephen Hawking. I literally saw Stephen Hawking. That is how good his performance is in this film. And like I said, I've said this to a lot of my friends, it's very difficult to see who's going to get Best Actor. To me, it's between Bradley Cooper and Eddie Redmayne, and Michael Keaton in the middle. Because Michael Keaton did a great job in Birdman, but Bradley Cooper and Eddie Redmayne are portraying real people. So there's a big difference there. Very big, especially by Academy standards, at least from what I've seen over the years. The people who they nominate and the people who win. But let's talk about The Theory of Everything. It's really not about the life of Stephen Hawking, and I thought it would be. It's actually about, and this actually made a little bit more sense. This movie's based off of his first wife's biography of when she first met Stephen and when she became his wife and her life with him. So it's not really about Stephen Hawking, you know, from when he was born to when, you know, to when he got the disease, to when he got the computer voice and everything. That's in there, but it's not the story. It's not like Ray, you know, it's not like the story of Stephen Hawking and everything. Although most of it is, because he met his wife when they were in college, in England in '63. I think it was Oxford. I could be wrong about that. But Eddie Redmayne does a great job in this movie. I was blown away by his performance and how he pulls this off. Because I was curious about this. Because I've heard of the story of Stephen Hawking and how he got the disease and how and his research is like groundbreaking. I mean, he's one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, I think, and of the 21st century, of course, too. But this film, I recommend this film to anyone who everyone should definitely check this movie out. If you haven't seen this movie yet, check this out. The Theory of Everything. This is probably one of my favorite movies of the year. It really is. I liked it a lot. So yeah, those are my thoughts on that movie. And now we get to the number one movie of 2014, in my opinion. I loved this film from beginning to end. It blew me away. I thought it was going to be one thing. It turned out to be something completely different. And that is Birdman. Oh, Michael Keaton. This is the first role that Michael Keaton has done that I have loved, I think, since Batman. Okay? It's that good. The way this movie is filmed, the way the actors are, the way the directing is, the writing, I could literally do an hour-and-a-half episode on this movie. That's how great this film is, at least for me. And that's why I'm picking it as my number one favorite movie of the year. This movie is a front runner-up for Best Picture. It's got 9 nominations. Great. Thank God. Very well done film. Didn't see it when it came out in October. My movie theater wasn't playing it at the time. But I just saw it 3 weeks ago. I did, and it was incredible. Michael Keaton. Okay, for those of you who don't know the story, a couple of you who haven't seen this, let me explain this to you. Michael Keaton plays an actor who was very famous in his prime as Birdman, who was basically a superhero. You basically, he did superhero movies as this superhero Birdman, and that's all the public sees him as, Birdman. That's all they see him as. So finally, years later, he's a washed-up actor. He can't get work. All he's recognized for is Birdman, and he decides to do this play in New York. And as he's doing the play, his inner psyche, this is what I got from it, his inner psyche tries to convert him into just going along with the fact that he is Birdman. Like, if the public sees him as that, why can't you just accept it? Accept that you're Birdman, because that's who you are. You know, that's who you are as a person. And that's what I got out of it. Now, I want to talk about the performances here for a second. Zach Galifianakis, who plays the producer of the show that they're doing, very good. Naomi Watts is great. Edward Norton is... I think he's nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Wouldn't surprise me if he gets it for Best Supporting Actor. He was phenomenal in this movie as that actor that they got in the show. Emma Stone, great as Michael Keaton's daughter. Loved her in this. Loved the filming. The director of this movie hated to be compared with Alfred Hitchcock's Rope. And to some degree, here's what I can say, okay? There is a difference between this movie and Rope. A lot of people compared this movie to Alfred Hitchcock's film Rope because the movie Rope was filmed with very little edits. Very few edits are in that movie, and very few edits are in this film as well. But there is a difference. Rope was basically filmed on a stage. Like, the camera basically just pans back and forth. If you really watch Rope, I love that film, but it pans back and forth to the actors. It's almost like filming a staged production. I mean, occasionally it'll go into the kitchen and it'll go out into the living room, but that's about it. This movie is like... Okay, perfect example. There's a scene in there's a shot in the movie Goodfellas. It's the scene where Ray Liotta takes his wife Karen, and they leave the car, and it's on their first date, and no, not the first date, it's like their second date, after she agrees to go out with him. And they're walking through that hallway, and Scorsese is following them with the camera. There's no edit. He follows them down the hall, through the restaurant, into the restaurant. They sit down. There's no edits there. Imagine a whole movie like that, because that's how this movie is filmed. And it is incredible how they did this. Because every time a character will turn to the left of a hallway or turn to the right, whoever shows up in the hallway, they had to cue that. They they had to cue this person doing this and this person doing that, and this has to happen here when you get to this spot. I mean, it's like doing a stage production, but differently. Okay, it's a little bit different. And that's what blew me away with this movie. I was wondering, how in God's name did they do this for a movie? But I loved this film a lot, and guys, if you guys haven't seen this, watch this movie. It is very, very well done. The acting in it. There's a scene in the movie that I really liked, okay? And it got me thinking a little bit, as a critic, because I do the show. There's a scene in the movie where Michael Keaton, because he plays the washed-up actor, he goes into this bar every time they're done a practice, and there's a critic sitting there at the end of the bar. And she keeps telling him every time he walks into the bar, you're just a washed-up actor, you're not an actor, you're a celebrity, you don't have the talent to be on a stage. And towards the end of the movie, he just loses it. He grabs what she's writing, and he looks at her, he goes, what are you gonna get? What are you gonna get out of this by critiquing me? It doesn't mean anything. It's all opinionated. What do? You just write a couple of paragraphs, and you send it off, and you just shit on everybody. You know what? Take this and shove it up your fucking ass. You know, like, great acting, but even as a critic, I began to think about that. And you know what? This is something a lot of people don't get. There is an art to critique, because people always say, "Oh, everyone's a critic." Not necessarily. This woman who was a critic is not a critic. You are not a critic. You just bash everything when you haven't even looked at what he's preparing. And Michael Keaton actually says that. He says, how do you know that our show is going to be bad? You haven't even seen it. And she's like, oh, I can guess. I know. No. It's what I've been saying since the first episode when I reviewed the Pixar movies. Don't critique something if you haven't seen it. Don't go along with what the public says, because the public could be wrong. Like, for example, the public loved Interstellar. I didn't, and I thought I would. I didn't like the movie as a whole. There were some things I liked, a lot of it I didn't like, and I explained that. Like, never go along with the public, because you never know. You might not think like that. You might think, hey, I didn't like this. A lot of people like it. I didn't, and this is why. Don't just go along with what everybody says, because that's what everybody wants to read about. Don't say that. Speak for yourself. How you see this. Why should you see this? Or why shouldn't you see it? Or if there's something interesting in it, why should you see it? Or why shouldn't you? And vice versa. Like, just explain it. Explain it. Don't just say, this person did this, and I didn't like this, so this is not going to be good. Don't say that. Don't say that, because that's not being a critic. That's just being a dick. It is. And critics do that. I'm not going to lie. Critics do that. I'm not going to lie, I've done that once or twice. I think we've all done that once or twice. But this movie is a wonderful... It's just wonderful, this movie. So that's my number one pick for Best Film of the Year, 2014, Birdman. And there's a lot of movies out there that I still haven't seen. I didn't see 22 Jump Street. I heard that was good. I didn't see Whiplash. I didn't see Boyhood. The Grand Budapest Hotel. Good God, that looks like a Stanley Kubrick movie. The cinematography in that looked beautiful. Imitation Game, Selma, all these great films in 2014 I haven't seen. I will definitely check them out in the future. I really want to check them out. So, I'm running out of time. I got to get back to watching the rest of the Oscars. So, those are the movies I enjoyed in 2014, and I will see you guys in the next review. But before I do, I just want to give you guys a little clip at some of the people that we've lost this year in 2014. And we'll end the show on not a sad note, but a joyful note.